The treatment and management of concussion has been well described and documented by the association. The Medical Scientific Welfare Committees has provided, among other things, information sheets for players and so on. And when a player has been assessed as suffering a concussion, there is a well-established protocol already in place to determine whether or not he can participate in training and games. What this motion is really about is the time period between when a player receives a blow to the head and a proper assessment of his condition can then be made to avoid rushing through this assessment and afford the assessor all the time that's required, that there is no concussion. We're suggesting that the referee should instruct the player to leave or be removed from the field of play and a temporary substitute to be introduced. When these tests for concussion, if they prove negative, the player returns to the field of play and the temporary substitute would leave it. But if they do not prove negative and a concussion is suspected, there is no return to play and the temporary substitution would become permanent at that point.
Coordinate for Kilkenny. The issue of player concussion is a very topical one and very serious one for our association. I think we're all agreed that a player who is suffering from concussion should not remain on the field of play. However, I would have some concerns regarding this motion, particularly in relation to the role or duties being required of the referee if the motion becomes rule. As this motion would apply not just to inter-county games but all games, I don't think our county is unique in that few, if any, of our referees have any medical training or qualifications. Yet the motion where past referees could be required to make a medical decision or decisions during the game. Firstly, they would have to make a call on how serious a blow to the head was for a player. And secondly, if the player has left the field of play, has passed a test for concussion before being permitted to return. It's unclear in the motion who administers the test for concussion or what form it would take. Unfortunately, a medic is not present at every one of our games, but yet the referee is being asked to make a decision on whether a potentially concussed player can return or not return to the fray. I think, as I pointed out already, this is unfair to the official, who most probably not qualified to make the decision and who already has a difficult task. There would also be the possibility, I suppose, of a referee failing to instruct a concussed player to leave the field or wrongly permitting a concussed player to return to the action. And while either decision might be made in good faith, they could still have serious repercussions for the referee afterwards. As under this motion, he would be the only person named as making these decisions. I'm not trying to dispute the importance of concussion, but for these reasons I would oppose the motion and suggest a serious issue might be considered further.
Withdrawn, Sean Potts, Unadine and Imrori. Following consultation with the county players in this motion, we welcome the motion. We're supportive of the motion. However, rather than risk something as important as this being defeated, the players were very supportive of the idea of a rule to remove and encourage the removal of a player with suspected concussion. However, rather than risk it being defeated here, we would propose that the ruling as is deferred and referred to the Medical and Scientific and Welfare Committee for further investigation, and in due course they can propose something to Central Council. It's a matter of great concern to the players who've been in consultation with us regularly, but we would point out that the GAA has made significant progress in terms of dealing with concussion. The guidelines that have been introduced and indeed developed over the last 2 years are excellent. But there is a feeling among the players that there's a need to bring a strong rule in that will deal with suspected concussion on the field. So I would propose that this motion is deferred and referred to the Medical, Scientific and Welfare Committee.